It is week 12 of Big Pick Energy. James and Spencer coming at you once again. Yet another 2-2 week for each of us. That seems to be all me and James can do nowadays. But hey, that means we ain't losing your money over here. But on the season, we are both green. James is sitting at the top of the leaderboard, 28-16. I am right behind him, 24-20. But like we've been saying the last few weeks, if you've been following along with us all year, you are in the green. James, let's get into our picks for week 12. We'll start with our favorites. James, I have the Eagles minus 3.5. You have the Chiefs minus 3.5. James, tell me about your Chiefs pick.
Yeah, man, I'm going back to the drinking well on this one. I should not be betting the Chiefs after what they did last week versus the Broncos. But hey, we're going with the trends. We're going with the vibes. This is desperation mode now. Chiefs are 5-5. They're on the outs for the wild card. So why are we going with the Chiefs minus 3.5 versus the Colts? Of course, this is the sixth time in the Pat Mahomes era that they've lost back-to-back games. Following those games, Pat Mahomes is 5-0 straight up and is 4-0-1 against the spreads. But also, Spence, Chiefs will be the 15th team since 1990 to be straight up 5-5 or worse, and to be favored to a team that's winning over 80% of the games. Those records right there, 14-0 straight up and 12-0-2 against the spread. That is why I'm going with the Chiefs minus 3.5 versus the Colts in Arrowhead.
I love this pick, James, not just because I'm a Texans fan and I'm needing the Colts to start to lose some games for the Texans' sake, but there's one big reason why I really like this pick, and it's mainly the fact that it's in Arrowhead. And you mentioned it. Pat Mahomes, 2 losses in a row. It's hard for me to fathom him losing 3 in a row.
Yes.
I think the vibes of Arrowhead and maybe even some devil magic and some help from the referees. I love this pick. I think you could have made this bigger line. If you wanted to bet an alt line on this, I think that would be a good play here because I think the Chiefs are going to win by at least a touchdown here. Love the pick, James.
The 2 losses for the Colts, both on the road versus the Rams and the Steelers. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what Daniel Jones we get. But Spence, hey, man, you already seen me, man. I love your pick already. Yo, why are you going with the Eagles?
This pick of the Eagles this week, I won't lie, James, it's not so much about the Eagles because you and I were talking before we started recording about the state of the Eagles offense, and it is not in a good spot right now. We got A.J. Brown out here having to have sit-down, come-to-Jesus meetings with the owner about, I promise I won't complain on social media anymore, and you got all kinds of Eagles fans calling for the offensive coordinator Petula's head. But all that being said, this is still an 8-2 team. This is still a team that's right there at the top of the NFC looking to go back to the Super Bowl again. And I look on the other side and I see a Dallas Cowboys team that, they just had a very impressive showing on Monday night against the Raiders. All season long, though, this has been a defense that has just been turnstiles and traffic cones. I think this is a perfect get-right spot for the Eagles offense. And, that Cowboys offense loaded with weapons. George Pickens having a career year. CeeDee Lamb, dangerous. Love what they've done this year. But this Eagles defense is ready for the task. I think the Eagles complete the sweep of the Cowboys, and they cover minus 3.5 comfortably.
Hey, one, of course, bias. I love the pick because number one, it's Kelly Green week. So let's roll into Dallas with the Kelly Greens, whip their ass. 2, we're not going to call the offense like the Raiders did and give our star running back only 2 carries. We're going to get Saquon running. We're going to get Tanks Bigsby going. And, hey, man, shoot, maybe we can get Devontae Smith and AJ. Maybe can we get a tutty apiece? But I will say, since the Jalen Phillips acquire from the trade deadline, this defense has been nonstop. And I'll even throw Brandon Graham into it, coming out of retirement, to let these 2 powerhouse NFC North offenses only score 7 and 9 points. Can't wait to see what happens on Fox.
Yeah, that should be a fun one. And that's the thing. The Cowboys and the Eagles is always a fun matchup. Hate them or love them, and there's people that hate and love both these teams. When they meet, though, always going to be fireworks. Let's go on to our underdogs this week, James. I have the Panthers plus 7.5. You have the Titans plus 13.5. You're going back to the well for the second week in a row with the Titans, James. But this is a bigger spread and a bigger task Tell me about the pick here.
Oh man, hey man, you're right. Who on God's earth is going to bet the 1-9 Titans to cover a spread versus a team that just shellacks teams left and right? I know they struggled last week with the Rams, 4 picks. Darnold, maybe he saw a little ghost. We'll see what happens. But Spence, I'm only going off of this trend right here. Since 2003, double-digit favorites on the road. 57, 75, and 1 against the spread. That's shooting at a 43% clip. I think not just the Titans. I will say this. The Titans did show me some life last week versus the Texans, but I do think an emotional loss for the Seahawks coming into Tennessee, probably a look ahead spot because, of course, Seahawks are probably going to play someone way more important than the Titans in the next upcoming weeks. And I do think maybe finally, since the firing of their coach, maybe they can get some things turned around. Just play just a little bit better. I see this game going 20-10.
Ugh. Ugh.
Oh.
So it's not an outright upset what you're calling for here.
No.
It's a big spread.
It's just a big spread, and we're betting. Hey, you know me, man. I got the trends, man. I love betting the trends, man.
You do. You are a big trends guy, but James, this one's disgusting. And last week I agreed with you because the Texans being 6.5-point favorites was just hard for me to fathom with Davis Mills. But this is Sam Darnold in the MVP conversation we're talking about, or at least in the top 10. And they have been, like you said, smashing teams this season. And the Titans, it wasn't that long ago, James, you and I were talking about we got to stay away from betting the Titans because they're so bad. And here you are betting them 2 weeks in a row.
I'm telling you, man, I must have been dropped as a baby. And lately, man, I'm betting Jets. I'm betting Titans. Yo, we got to find life in some of these horrible ass teams.
Hey, but the record doesn't lie, James. 28-16 on the year, and you're knowing when to pick the ugly games, and so that could be interesting.
Definitely. But I will say this, Spence. Talk about the disrespect for the Panthers plus 7.5. Spence, I love your pick. Now, if this was maybe +3, +4, yeah, we might go with the Niners being at home, getting Brock Purdy back. They look dominant. Spence, please tell me the one reason why you are going with the Panthers.
My big thing here is the 49ers came back this past week with Brock Purdy reinstated as their starting quarterback, and he was sensational. He reminded us that, hey, I am someone that's being paid more than $50 million a year to play the quarterback position for the 49ers. I don't want to hear no Mac Jones talk anymore. I think he put the quarterback controversy conversations to bed last week. But that being said, the Panthers are a team that we have to start looking out for these cardiac kitties because they do not go down without a fight, man. They are a tough bunch. And Bryce Young, it's been amazing to watch him this season because he is either having a completely terrible game where he doesn't even get to 200 yards or he's throwing for 404 touchdowns like he did last week against the Falcons. There hasn't really been much in between there with Bryce Young. It's been feast or famine. And when you're talking about a 49ers defense that I think is very underwhelming, especially when you consider that their record's 7-4, these two teams feel like they are much closer than this spread is indicating. So I think I'm not going to say I'd bet them to win outright, but I think the Panthers really do have a chance to go into San Francisco and pull out an upset on Monday Night Football.
Heck yeah. No, I'm with you. If you're worried about betting the full game, bet at least the first half against the spread. Bryce Young is 13-25 on the first half against the spread, but guess what? He has been killing it. We talked about him having the most game-winning drives since 2023. Kyle Shanahan, just 4-9 against the spread when he's a 6-point favorite in night games since 2023.
And that should be a sneaky, fun Monday night game. Those are two teams that can put up points. I think I'd bet they're not my pick. We're not talking about that game in our overs and unders as we move into those now. But I would like the over in that game. I think that's a fun Monday night game for the over. Mm-hmm. Speaking of overs, let's go to our overs this week. James, I've got the Buccaneers and Rams over 49.5. You have the Bengals and the Patriots over 50.5. So we're going big numbers. We ain't afraid of the big numbers here this week. James, talk to me about Bengals and Patriots.
Dude, this is basically off the Bengals at home. The last 16 games, if my math is right, I think the over has hit 14. They dropped like 86 points when the Bears were in town. And this year, I think the over is hitting all the home games. Drake May, obviously, he's always in the MVP conversation. He's dishing out the rock. We've seen Travion Henderson not just rack up fantasy points, but is becoming a stud at the right time. And of
Finally.
course, and of course,
Finally.
hey man, we might just get the T. Higgins breakout game because of the Jamar Chase in freaking Jalen Ramsey's
Hey,
face. So,
allegedly,
allegedly, right?
allegedly,
Hey, right.
James.
But no, still, this offense for the Bengals is going to find a way to score. It's just this defense cannot hold up. I would be shocked if the first half is not 21-17, and then they find a way to coast and get these 50 points.
Yeah, I love this pick, James, just because these are two offenses I selfishly will admit I have a lot of fantasy investments in. I have Chase Brown, I have T. Higgins. In one of my leagues, I even have Joe Flacco, but he's like my third string in a super flex league. On the other side, I got Drake May, and I got a lot of Travion Henderson. So I would love to see this over hit. The only thing that concerns me is how good New England's been on defense. I think back to the game they had against the Buccaneers earlier this year, and they really held that Buccaneers offense down. And that felt like it was kind of like the beginning of this kind of Buccaneers downturn that we've seen from them a little bit these past few weeks. But back to this game, I want this over to hit so bad. It should be a fun one. And I always feel like these two teams, when they meet, some about these colorways, that Patriot blue, that orange of the Bengals, it just is a fun matchup combo, and it just breeds points. I like it, James. I like it a lot.
Heck yeah. I'm with you, Spence. Hey, man, you tell me, is Baker Mayfield going to be playing in this game? Because that's what's got me worried, man. I know everyone's injured, it seems like, and we know the Rams can score points left and right. Tell me why, man, you like this over.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. The Buccaneers have been in a disarray. Big part of why I'm making this pick, and I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. I think this is going to be the return of Bucky Irving. I need Bucky Irving back, and I think he has really been a huge catalyst of why this offense also has not been as good as it was. Because during the first 4 weeks of the season, we had electricity from the running back position with the Buccaneers. And yes, we did have a big game from Sean Tucker against the Bills, but I don't count it because the Bills have one of the worst run defenses in the entire NFL, and it's really not close. They have been missing Ed Oliver up front desperately. But back to this game, Rams, this is now the front runner for the MVP award. Matthew Stafford, arguably his best career season. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, the best wide receiver duo in the NFL right now, and I don't think it's really debatable when you consider how much production both guys are doing. I love this game. This game should be a ton of fun. 49.5 is a big number, but James, we established it this week. We ain't afraid of the big numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we ain't afraid of those big things. We jump from the top ropes. I will say, hey, if you're not interested in this total for this game, hey, man, Baker Mayfield as an underdog. Hey, if you add a 6-point teaser, hey, man, he's 23-3.
Let's get the unders. These aren't as fun to bet, but my under, I'm going with the Thursday night game, Buffalo and Texans under 43.5.
Oh.
You have the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints under 39.5. So this is the opposite. We both have low numbers, and we ain't afraid of these low numbers, but yours is even lower than 40. You got 39.5, James. Talk to me about this gross game going down in NOLA.
I'm not gonna lie, man. There's no trends, no nothing. It's just this is a vibe check. These are two teams now in dumpster fires. We've seen Penix with a partially torn ACL. Lord Jesus, man, he needs some milk. Give him some ligaments. Lord Jesus, in those legs. I know this is too many surgeries, but now we got Kirk Cousins, man. Who? What are we gonna get from him? You know what I mean? Are we gonna get a resurgence? Are we gonna just get, hey, I'm just a backup. I'm here to just do my job and just win like 21-14 and call it a day. Like that's what it feels like. And with these Saints, they tried out the Spencer Rattler thing. I know they're doing things with Tyler Shuck, but right now, this is just one of those in division. Like I'm looking almost of last week's game, Texans and Titans. I'm looking at 16-13 because these two offenses, they're horrible, but we need the Falcons to win because there's no way on God's earth we need the Rams, who could be a Super Bowl contender, getting a top 10 pick. Yeah. We need the Falcons to win. But other than that, just don't score too many points.
I don't think the Falcons are going to win this game. And in fact, they are underdogs to the hapless New Orleans Saints. If the Falcons were favored here, I would not like this pick as an under. But it's because Vegas is saying, I think the Saints are going to win a game. I think that the only way they can win a game is if they get an under here. And no Drake London for the Falcons, which their entire offense this season has been a balancing act between Bijan Robinson and Drake London. Kirk Cousins has, in his few times he's come in the season in relief, has just been horrendous. Now, he hasn't gotten to run an offense with Drake London yet this year, and he won't this week either.
Nope.
When he had his chance last time, it was rough. Nothing even happened. Darnell Mooney went catchless in that last game. So I love an under here. I think it's a great pick. And this is definitely a game I'm going to be snoozing through on Sunday.
Definitely snoozing through. I know in the game you're not going to be snoozing through because you goddamn are going to the game tomorrow. Hey, man, but I ain't going to lie. I know we bet the vibe on the under Texans all year. I think right now, what are they? 8-3 to the under. Spins, man. Are they really going to shut out Josh Allen to an under?
Yeah, the under is 43.5. And my first instinct when I looked at this line was, man, I know what I say every single week about the Texans are an under team. And you mentioned it. We've been tracking it all year on this show. I haven't made it my pick every single week, but I've been clear. They are 7-3 to the under to this point. But I'm going to keep betting it despite Josh Allen, the reigning NFL MVP, coming to town on the other side of things because a couple of reasons. One, it's Davis Mills under center for the Texans, and after they struggled to put up 16 points against the Titans, I am skeptical that they're going to be able to put up points against, while not a great defense, a better defense than what you're getting in Tennessee. I know Jeffrey Simmons is a great player, but that Tennessee defense is one that should have been exploited so much more. And I think this Bills team, they're starting to get hot. I think that they flipped the script last week. I know they have some tough losses on their schedule to the Falcons, to the Dolphins, but they flipped the script last week against the Buccaneers, beat a solid team by double digits, dropped 40. Josh Allen went superhuman mode, 3 touchdowns in the air, 3 touchdowns on the ground. But I don't think that is going to keep going. I think that's going to regress a little bit. I'm not sure who's going to come out on top. I like the 43.5 here, but it is a sketchy one because of Josh Allen, I have to admit.
Definitely. That's always the scariest thing with betting unders and Josh Allen. I will say this. If you're worried about betting on who you think is going to win the game, Josh has faced defenses that allowed 20 points or less 29 times. His record, 24-5 straight up, 23-5-1 against the spread. So, hey, Spence, maybe you'll bring some good luck tomorrow night. But guess what? Hey, tell him, man, hey, follow us. Big Pick Energy, Big Game Energy, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. You know how it goes down.
My man James said it best. I couldn't say it better myself. So for James, I'm Spencer. We'll see y'all next week for week 13 of Big Pick Energy. And until then, y'all enjoy the games.